She expected the human to devour her, but he did the exact opposite.
They had always told her that humans were monsters, not the kind with claws or fangs, the worst kind, the kind that smiled. On the desert world of Illyrian, human ships came only twice a decade. They descended like metal comets, trading medicine and machinery for rare minerals harvested from the deep crystal caverns. But among the Valari people, there were darker whispers. Humans ate anything. Humans conquered everything. And if a Valari female was captured alone, she would not return. Lyra had believed every word, until the night she found herself kneeling in front of one. The raiders had come at dusk. They were not human. They were Karadmer, broad-shouldered, their eyes like molten brass. They stormed her village on the outer ridge, burning food stores and dragging prisoners toward their transport ships. Lyra had tried to run. She never made it past the shattered gate. A heavy hand struck her from behind. The world spun. When she awoke, her wrists were bound with pulse cords, and she was being hauled through the desert toward a makeshift camp. "You'll fetch a high price," one of the Carad hissed. She knew what that meant. The Lari females possessed rare, bioluminescent veins that responded to emotional states. Some collectors prized them as living art. Others valued them for more grotesque reasons. Lyra kept her gaze lowered. Showing fear made her veins glow brighter. The Karad liked that. By midnight, the raiders' camp buzzed with crude laughter. At its center stood a lone human, tall, broad-shouldered, dark-haired, hands bound but posture unbroken. He had been captured too. Lyra froze. A human. The stories screamed in her mind. "He will eat you. He will tear you apart." One of the shoved her forward. She stumbled and fell at the human's feet. "Entertainment," the mercenaries sneered. "We sell her at dawn. But perhaps our human friend would like to inspect the merchandise." The camp roared with laughter. The human's gaze dropped to her. His eyes were not wild. They were steady, assessing. She trembled, expecting hunger. Instead he spoke, his voice low and controlled. "Untie her." The Karad laughed harder. "Why? So she can run. So she can sit properly?" He replied evenly. "You bound her too tight. She bruise. That lowers her value." The mercenary grunted, considering. Profit always mattered more than cruelty. With a curse, he loosened her bindings just slightly. The human met Lyra's gaze again, and very subtly, so subtly the Kara didn't notice. He shook his head once. "Don't react, don't glow." She forced her breathing too slow. The laughter continued. The Kara grew bored and drifted back toward their fires. When they were momentarily alone in the dim edge of camp, the human leaned closer. "Can you run?" he murmured. Her pulse stuttered. He wasn't going to eat her. He was planning something. "They will trek," she whispered in her own language. He blinked, then responded fluently in Valari. "I know." Her eyes widened. "Humans didn't learn Valari. They burned my convoy 3 days ago," he said quietly. "I was scouting when they caught me." "You're not with them?" His jaw tightened. "No." A beat passed. "I'm going to break these cuffs in about 30 seconds, he continued calmly. "When I do, stay behind me." Her veins flickered faintly in disbelief. "You'll die," she breathed. Maybe. That answer should have terrified her. Instead it did something else. 30 seconds later, the human snapped the pulse cords binding his wrists. Everything exploded into motion. He moved with terrifying efficiency, grabbing a fallen blade, slashing through her bonds, positioning himself between her and the nearest Carad before they even realized what was happening. Blaster fire lit the night. "Run!" he shouted, but she didn't. The nearest mercenary lunged. The human intercepted the strike, taking a blade across his side instead of letting it reach her. Blood darkened his shirt. He didn't flinch. He pushed her behind him again. She stared at his back in shock. He wasn't devouring her. He was shielding her. The fight was brutal and fast. Takrad fell. A third tackled the human, slamming him into the sand. Lyra grabbed a discarded shock rod and struck the mercenary from behind with shaking hands. The human surged to his feet. "Move!" he barked. This time she obeyed. They ran into the dunes under a rain of plasma bolts. They didn't stop until the horizon began to pale. The human collapsed behind a rocky outcrop, breathing hard. Blood soaked his side. Lyra hovered uncertainly. "You're injured," she said. "I've been worse." He clearly hadn't. She knelt beside him, hands trembling. Valari bioluminescence wasn't just decorative. It had minor regenerative properties when directed properly. He stiffened as her glowing palms pressed to his wound. "I'm not going to eat you," he muttered faintly, almost amused despite the pain. Heat rushed to her face. "I know that now." He studied her, sweat-damp hair clinging to his forehead. "Nay?" he asked. "Lyra? I'm Dax." She frowned slightly. "That is not a Valari name." "Good observation." "This everything." A small smile tugged at her lips. They rested through the morning, hidden among the rocks. When distant engines roared across the desert, Dax tensed, but the sound passed. "My ship is to Ridge's west," he said eventually. "If we make it there, We can signal for coalition backup. She hesitated. If your people come, she said slowly, will they take Valari as payment? His expression hardened. No. She searched his face for deception and found none. They think we are fragile, she admitted quietly. Or valuable, or consumable. Humans, he asked. She nodded. He leaned back against the rock, wincing. Some are, he said honestly. Most aren't. The simplicity of the answer startled her. You don't fear us? She asked. He met her glowing gaze. You hit a carrot with a shock rod while I was pinned to the ground, he said dryly. I think I'll survive. A strange warmth spread through her chest. The journey to his ship was grueling. Twice they had to hide from Kirad Petros. Once, Dax nearly collapsed from blood loss. Each time, he positioned himself between danger and her, without hesitation. By the time they reached the small reconnaissance vessel buried beneath sand camouflage, Lyra's old beliefs had shattered. Completely. Inside the ship, Dax initiated a distress beacon. Help will come in 6 hours, he said. She stood awkwardly in the narrow corridor. What happens to me then? That depends on you. She blinked. You're free, he said simply. You can return to your people, or request transport elsewhere. You would not claim compensation? She asked softly. For what? For saving me? He stared at her as if she'd spoken nonsense. That's not how this works. It is how it works here. Then your system's broken? Silence fell. Her veins glowed faintly, not from fear this time, but from something gentler. You stepped between me and death, she said. Why? He considered the question seriously. Because they were wrong to try and take you. That is all. That's enough. The distress beacon pulsed softly in the background. Lyra stepped closer. When I saw you in the camp, she admitted, I thought you would devour me. He huffed a tired laugh. Sorry to disappoint. You did the exact opposite. Your eyes met. In that small, humming ship beneath the desert sands, she realized something profound. The stories had been written by those who feared power, but real strength was restraint. 6 hours later, coalition ships appeared in the sky. Valari scouts arrived too, having tracked the Karad retreat. When both parties landed, tension crackled in the air. Lyra stepped forward before anyone else could speak. He is under protection, she declared clearly. Dax blinked. I thought I was under coalition jurisdiction. She glanced back at him. You are? Her bioluminescent veins shimmered brightly as she faced her people. But he is also my shield-bearer. Among the Valari that title carried ancient weight. It meant one who had risked life for another without expectation of return. It meant sacred trust. Her elders studied Dax carefully. Finally, the eldest inclined her head. Then he is welcome among us. Dax looked faintly overwhelmed. Medical teams ushered him toward treatment. Lyra caught his hand briefly. You may leave when you wish, she told him. He squeezed her fingers gently. Maybe I'll stay a while. She smiled. Once, she had believed humans devoured everything they touched, and now she knew better. Some of them shielded instead.